Brandon Wilson now takes us live to Saudi Arabia to get a closer look.
King Salman has taken over for King Abdullah in Saudi Arabia with the overwhelming support of the people, but he inherits some of the most dramatic turmoil his country has ever seen. Vigilante rebels causing government collapse in Yemen. Attacks on the Saudi border by radical ISIS Islamists. Progressing instability in the Iraqi government. And of course, oil, the natural resource in the palm of King Salman's hand with the power to shape the global economy. By keeping oil prices down, Saudi Arabia can force Iran's economy to plummet, stripping conservatives of their power. King Salman's guiding principle will be continuity, following in the path of his predecessor, King Abdullah, while at the same time patching relations with the United States, and keeping nuclear weapons out of Iran's grasp to avoid violence and possibly war. The scene is truly grim here in Saudi Arabia, and with disarray coming at Saudi Arabia from so many angles, what's certain is that King Salman faces a far more complex landscape than his predecessor. In Saudi Arabia for 312 News, I'm Brandon Wilson. Our top story tonight, 15 states, including Illinois, have been affected by measles, and officials are saying this number will likely increase. The highly contagious disease was declared eradicated by the U.S. 15 years ago, but recent outbreaks show over 120 confirmed cases. Officials are saying it's best to remain isolated if you suspect you might be infected.
It's certainly something that we don't want someone going to the movies, going to the grocery store, and really potentially spreading this to others.
312 News will keep you updated on the outbreaks as information becomes available.
Reporting live for 312 News, I'm Amon Jones.
Thanks for that, Amon. The militant Islamist group Boko Haram has attacked a station of Chad troops in the northeastern Nigerian town of Gambaroo. 8 Chadian troops were wounded in the attack, and 3 of the 14 Boko Haram vehicles were destroyed, 1 seized. The Chad troops were stationed in Gambaroo as part of an offensive against Boko Haram, and one Chadian official said they were prepared for the attack. Niger's parliament has unanimously decided to send troops to the northern Nigerian region as part of the offensive.
Thanks, Amon. I'm live here in Copenhagen on the scene of a vigil being held for those who lost their lives in the shootings in Copenhagen on Saturday.
Mourners in the city of Copenhagen left flowers in honor of the victims of the shootings at a Copenhagen free speech discussion on Saturday. In attendance at the event was Lars Vilks, a controversial cartoonist whose portraits of the Prophet Muhammad as a dog angered many Muslim conservatives, resulting in several death threats. In a 2007 interview, Vilks addressed the scrutiny.
If you don't like it, don't look at it. If you want to look at it, don't take it too seriously.
But the gunman did take the portrait seriously, killing 2 and leaving 5 police officers injured. But the case took a turn when police saw this surveillance video. It led them to this red brick apartment building, where police held a stakeout until the suspect returned. The gunman fired at the police, and the police returned fire, killing him. Police have identified the gunman as Danish 22-year-old Omar El Hussein. Denmark officials are currently investigating whether this is linked to a larger terror plot.
The assumption right now is that the guy who is responsible for what has just happened in Copenhagen is not a foreign fighter. As far as we know, he has not been to Syria or Iraq, and he has not been connected to any terrorist environment in Denmark so far.
So as you can see, Amon, obviously a very tragic event here in Copenhagen. However, at this time, it seems that Denmark is not under any threat of further terrorist action. For 312 News, I'm Brandon Wilson.
Coming up tonight on 312 News. Security increases in shopping areas as one militant group threatens to attack American malls.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Shaw.
And I'm Brandon Wilson. Welcome to 312 News. Our top story tonight, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is urging mall shoppers to be cautious after the most recent propaganda video from Al-Shabaab has threatened to attack malls in North America, specifically Minnesota's iconic Mega Mall. The world-famous Mall of America generates 40 million annual visitors, an appealing target for a terrorist group that claims responsibility for the 2014 mall massacres in Kenya. In a video released on Sunday, this masked figure stated that the Kenya attacks were nothing compared to what the group has planned for the UK, Canada, and the US. Mall of America security is being more watchful, encouraging shoppers to be observant and report any suspicious activity. In a statement, Mall of America confirmed its increased security efforts, saying, quote, "We have implemented extra security precautions. Some may be noticeable to guests, and others won't be." Officials say that the specificity of the threat from the Al-Qaeda affiliate, naming a specific mall, is cause for concern.
It is a concern. Anytime an Al-Qaeda affiliate like Al-Shabaab pronounces to attack the West and specific shopping malls, I think that certainly should get our attention.
The FBI maintains that there is no credible threat of an attack at any U.S. mall, but law enforcement officials will be on the lookout for lone wolf attacks not affiliated with terrorist organizations. Finally tonight, the 87th Annual Academy Awards brought out the brightest stars in film on Sunday to celebrate a year of unforgettable cinematic achievement.
The Oscar goes to Birdman.
Birdman swept the Oscars, winning awards for cinematography, directing, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Picture. Eddie Redmayne won Best Actor in a Leading Role for his portrayal of Stephen Hawking in The Theory of Everything, and the award for Best Actress in a Leading Role went to Julianne Moore for her performance as an Alzheimer's patient in Still Alice. One of the ceremony's most memorable moments came when writer Graham Moore gave his acceptance speech, winning the Best Adapted Screenplay for The Imitation Game. Moore confessed that he attempted suicide at the age of 16.
Stay weird, stay different, and then when it's your turn and you are standing on the stage, please pass the same message to the next person who comes along. Thank you so much. I love that.
Nielsen reports that the Oscars ratings were the lowest since 2009 and reached the youngest demographic since 2008. Good evening and welcome to 312 News. I'm Brandon Wilson.
And I'm Taylor Shaw.
The most recent peace talks between Ukraine and Russia separatists did not produce a ceasefire, and peace in Ukraine seems unlikely. The violence has left many Ukrainian civilians desperate, some burning firewood for heat and melting snow for water. 13 people were killed within a 24-hour period after the Ukrainian city of Despalchev was hit by shellings. There is no running water or electricity, and all emergency transport has stopped. As the fighting continues, there are no reports of relief for Ukraine. Regarding speculation of any U.S. intervention, President Obama said in an interview with CNN that he thinks it would be unwise for the United States and Russia to be engaged in military conflict.
I know our thoughts and prayers are with the family of Mr. Sutter.
Yeah, certainly an unfortunate situation and really a big show in a lot of our childhoods. The Red Power Ranger was certainly one of my favorites.
He's an idol.
Welcome to 312 News. I'm Brandon Wilson.
And I'm Taylor Shaw.
So, Aman, what are witnesses saying about the man allegedly taking the officer's gun? Did he have possession of it? Because it's difficult to tell from the video.
So the man who filmed the cell phone footage of the altercation said that he didn't see the man reaching for the gun. He said he was on the ground, not within reach of the man's weapon. However, the Los Angeles Police Commissioner said that he heard clearly that the man was going for his gun, he's reaching his gun, and so after reviewing the footage, the commissioner came to the conclusion that the man was indeed reaching for his gun.
And so how is LAPD leadership responding? Do we have any updates on who the officers involved were, or any news regarding investigation of the incident?
So investigation is currently underway. They're still reviewing a few different footages from the incident. One being the cell phone video that we just saw, and there were also body cameras on both of the officers.
Thank you. Aman Jones, live in LA for 312 News. The House of Representatives has voted to fund the Department of Homeland Security for another week. The 357-60 vote will keep TSA screeners, border agents, and other federal workers on the payroll for at least now. This passage means the government avoids partial shutdown, but the heavy debate is expected to continue next week. The FCC has passed groundbreaking net neutrality regulations that will allow for free, unrestricted flow of content online. The law will mean preservance of an open internet, which will prevent internet service providers from slowing or even blocking certain content. The regulations will ensure that everything on the web is treated equally by service providers. In international headlines, a former deputy prime minister and an outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin was gunned down on Friday. Today, Russia mourns the death of Boris Nemtsov.
Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Aojin. 5 years in the making, and it's finally here. Two of the biggest names in boxing will square up on May 2nd for what's being billed as the biggest fight in boxing history.
One of my best friends here is actually taking Snapchat selfies with Ariana. She's
Really?
super excited.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is exciting. I am jealous indeed. Coming up on 312 News, a video of fraternity members chanting racist remarks has surfaced. What's next for Oklahoma University? All that and more on 312 News. Stay with us. Good evening and welcome to our final edition of 312 News. I'm Brandon Wilson.
And I'm Amon Jones.
And President Obama is strongly considering Chicago as the location for his future presidential library. But Obama and his foundation plan to announce the site after Chicago's mayoral election, which is slated for April 7th. Obama wants to avoid giving Mayor Rahm Emanuel an unfair advantage, with the election happening in less than a month. In other national news, the national fraternity Sigma Alpha Epsilon is currently under fire for a recently surfaced video showing members of the University of Oklahoma chapter shouting a vulgar chant. Thaddeus Tukes is live on campus with that story. Thaddeus, what's it like right now?
Go Cats!
Welcome back. Hillary Clinton is at the center of a controversy involving her alleged use of a private email for official government correspondence during her time as Secretary of State. The former First Lady and her family were in Miami when the news broke for the 8th annual Clinton Global Initiative University. While performing community service, Clinton's daughter Chelsea was asked to comment on the controversy, saying her email experience with her mother involves personal matters.
As her daughter, we email about things like Thanksgiving dinner and our plans to watch a movie on Friday night. So in terms of her official emails, you'll have to ask her.
Former President Clinton was also solicited while servicing, but declined to comment. South Carolina Representative Trey Gowdy spoke for many Republicans when he said that Clinton's use of a private domain on public matters was cause for concern with public records.
With respect to the president, it's not up to Secretary Clinton to decide what's a public record and what's not.
Hillary Clinton is currently touring her No Ceilings campaign, but has asked that the State Department make her emails public. She is expected to comment on the controversy later this week. Conversations on race continued today as thousands of people went to Alabama to commemorate an event critical to the civil rights movement. Hyojin Park is live with that story. Hyojin?
Thank you, Brandon.
One of the most exciting times of the year for sports fans and even those of us who just like to pick their brackets based on team colors is upon us. March Madness is set to tip off next week, and many fans are wondering who will hit the big shot this year.
Hughes from Morehead State. Under a minute to go. Oh my goodness!
Some of the biggest names in college basketball will make the leap to the NCAA tournament starting on March 17th. March Madness consistently scores some of the highest ratings in network television, with 64 teams chasing the glory of a national title. 4 teams so far have punched their ticket to the dance. Coverage of all the NCAA games for the entire tournament will air on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV.
You know, Brandon, it really looked like she was having a good time there. I wish I enjoyed the snow as much as she did.
Yeah, I don't know many things, but that is one cute panda. That is all for us for 312 News. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next year.